Hey, what's up, y'all? Got a quick video to document what's happening to this Lexus engine today. This engine originally came out of a 2003 Lexus ES 300. It is also found in Camrys and Highlanders. What else? Just about anything front-wheel drive and even a few rear-wheel drive Toyotas and Lexuses come with this motor. This is the 3.0 V6. It does have a manufacturer engine code on the side of the engine here. And then, I don't know how well you can see that there. I thought the flash was on. 1MZ motor right here on the side. And then there's your serial number. So, let's see if we can get a little bit of... See how nice and clean that is? This whole entire engine is cleaned and rebuilt. Both sides. And the new timing belt obviously was done behind the timing covers. New water pump, new seals, cam seals, crank seals, you name it. The whole entire cams were removed because the head gaskets were done. I'll show you that right here. You see that brand new gasket in between the aluminum head and the bottom of the block? There's some brand new head gaskets. If you look down in the galleyway too, you see those two sensors. Those are your knock sensors. And the pigtails on them were done. They were melted all the way through there in the trash can. I don't want to go dig them up, but just take my word for it. They were shot, so we had to get new pigtails for it. And the reason why is because the hose that runs is called the water bypass hose, and this is excuse me, this is your thermostat housing coming back over here. I'll show it to you on the back side of the motor. No, it's dark, but that's where the thermostat goes, in that hole. This is a heater hose outlet, and here's your coolant overflow tank hose, and then your upper radiator hose is over here. Obviously the lower radiator hose would come off of the thermostat housing and head towards the bottom of the radiator. This engine, if you were sitting inside the driver's seat, this would be the passenger side, this would be the driver's side. The transmission's on the driver's side. So yeah, your radiator would be in front of the engine there. A lot of people don't even know this hose exists on this engine. They have no idea. It runs from the thermostat housing to this radiator fill neck. And here's your temp sensor for that. And underneath is your knock sensors. You have two of them. And then we got a brand new harness for it too, where it plugs up. And I'm gonna show you the old hose. This was the old hose that used to sit right there, and you see it's about to give on the bottom. I don't know how well you can see inside of there. All right, we'll give it a try. See, it's like impregnated on the inside. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but yeah, so that hose needed to be replaced, and instead of just putting the hose back on there because it runs hot, I got some of this heat wrap and I wrapped it. So we'll be wrapping that up. I just used some scissors. They sell it in your local auto parts store. This is the XS Extra. I'll keep it. It might be a small hose one day we use that for. And then this will attach right there. I got a clamp for it right here. If I can get it off one-handed, right? One-handed. Put it on. And I'm gonna have to switch hands because my left hand is injured. And there you go, there's that. And then you wanna tighten it. You wanna make sure the clamp is facing in the right position. Now this clamp, you see right here where the lower intake is gonna go, that might be in the way there. So we're gonna turn it over to give some clearance over here, and we're going to test that with a quick mock-up. This is your lower intake manifold. You'll see another heater hose outlet coming out of the back. So that side goes towards the thermostat, this side goes towards your belts. Just try to show you the bottom of it. I cleaned it as well as I could, both bottom and top, inside where the fuel injectors go, all nice and clean. So obviously I'm just mocking it up to see how well it's going to fit. Make sure that it clears that clamp if that clamp is in that position. And you see you got your two heater hose outlets over here, some other kind of bypass coolant hose. I think this one goes to the throttle body, the idle air coolant on the throttle body. Then your fuel injectors would go here, right? And they would bolt to that, the fuel rail. Obviously we bolt the intake down, takes a few other bolts, a couple studs, stud over here, and we bolt that down. So then you won't be able to see the hose. And then on top of that, we're going to put the upper intake, which will go here and cover the backside attached to this hose. See if I can get a mock up. Of that going one-handed. Okay, yeah, so that goes on this hose. Now this is dirty and it hasn't, I'm holding the phone in one hand and the nut is on there, so I can't set it down in place. But you get the idea. You have your lower intake and your upper intake, and then it comes down over the back of the motor. So when you pop your hood and you're looking at your engine, you're going to see the front of the engine, you're going to see your exhaust manifold, right? Oil filter under it, all that stuff. And you're going to see the upper intake. You might see a tiny piece of your fuel injectors hiding under there with the lower intake. You're not going to see that hose under there. Common sense would look at this fill neck right here for the coolant and a hose going into it and say, well, there's got to be water running into somewhere. It ain't running into the timing belt. So common sense would tell you there's a hose that goes underneath there. Now there's a lot attached to this engine. This engine relies heavily on a lot of different vacuum ports. So there's a lot you'll see a lot of spaghetti, a lot of hoses when you're working on your engine, and you'll have no idea. The average person would have no idea that there's a coolant hose underneath. Underneath here. And that there's knock sensors and a harness that gets burnt up. Obviously, we got some brand new Fel-Pro gaskets. We got this nice and insulated. It's the appropriate hose. I'm feeling underneath. It's got clearance on the plugs, on the harness. You don't want these wires pressed up against it. You want them tucked away, down as far down as you can get them, all the way across. We know that clamp cleared there. This clamp has a little more room here, so that clears. Also there, ready to tighten this down, put the intake on, and get to bolting and everything else that I just briefly mocked up and showed you on. And then take some pictures of this thing, and it will be for sale. So the purpose of the video is whoever's buying the engine, I don't want to have to take it all apart to show them that it is a full rebuild, that everything in there is new. It's a little more than just your average long block because it actually has a lot of things attached to it that a long block wouldn't. A long block wouldn't have your intake or fill neck or anything like that. They take all that stuff off. But this motor has fresh head gaskets. Everything on it is pretty much fresh from the bottom end up. We didn't redo the bottom end, but we inspected it thoroughly and it looked healthy and good. So we just did a top end rebuild and a timing belt and water pump rebuild. I don't want to blab too much. These videos are mainly like to document what's happening here, and at the same time, whoever does buy this engine doesn't have to take my word for it. They don't know me, and me telling them, oh yeah, all that was replaced is one thing, versus me being able to say, I'm going to send you this video, watch it, you'll see that everything underneath there is new. You don't have to take any of that stuff apart to go confirm for yourself. Just watch the video. So it covers my butt. It gives them a sense of security and being able to see without, and verifying that things have been done without having to take it apart and go check for themselves. If I bought this engine from somebody I didn't know, I'd either have to take their word or go pull the lower intake and everything off myself and confirm for myself that those knock sensors are good, that hose is good, that it's not going to leak, leave me overheating somewhere on the side of the road, yada yada. You get what I'm saying. These lower intake gaskets, upper intake gaskets, like that Felpro gasket I just showed you, show it to you again. They crush once you bolt everything down and tighten it. They're like a crush gasket, like it'll crush it a little bit as you bolt it down and squeeze it down on there. You have your water bypass outlets over here, and then obviously your intake ports, and then your 2 water bypass ports at the end. So you don't wanna have to take that on, take that off, take that on, take that off. Once you put that on, you want to put it on and leave it on. The upper intake gasket is not like the Felpro one, it's a rubber one. I'll show you that. See, rubber. You pull that tab up and then the gasket will come up, and it's a rubber gasket. This comes off a lot more often, and you could probably get 1 or 2, maybe even 3 uses out of it as far as taking it off and putting it back on. But the other style gasket on those Felpros they're not rubber. They will crush, and you don't want to keep having to reuse that gasket. You'll end up having a water bypass leak from the end or some kind of intake vacuum leak. So you want to avoid, once that lower intake is on, you really want to avoid taking it off if obviously not needed. So now there's no need to have to take that off. Whoever buys this engine can have the peace of mind of knowing that not only was the hose replaced with the appropriate hose and a brand new hose, but it was properly insulated with very good quality heat insulator. And yes, both knock sensors and the harness under there are brand new. There's really nothing else going on under that galleyway there. But I mean, I'm sure in the video they were able to see also that it's nice and clean. Everything was done properly. The heads were off. Everything was taken care of. So that lower intake can go on permanently, stay on permanently. Whether the upper intake comes back off for the install of the motor or not is irrelevant. The lower intake will be torqued down in its appropriate sequence and to the appropriate torque spec. The gasket will be crushed and it will be permanently on there for the life of the engine. I don't see anybody for any reason having to open that up again. And this video proves that. So thanks for watching. Again, 2003 Lexus ES300. If you have a 3.0 Toyota V6 motor and you haven't replaced this hose, or you have a knock sensor code coming up on a code reader because your check engine light's on, it gives you an idea of where they're located in the engine also. So there might be some value in that for other Toyota and Lexus owners. That hose, I want to say it was somewhere around 20, 25 bucks for the appropriate hose at my local auto parts store. And the heat insulator, they sell you a pack, and the pack is like another 20, 25 bucks. So it's like 50 bucks for the hose and that. The knock sensors I got on eBay, they were much cheaper. They went way too much money for those knock sensors at the auto parts store. They went like, it was like 100 something a piece. It was ridiculous. I was gonna spend close to $300 on knock sensors. So I was like, and ordered some on eBay. They got the eBay link that I ordered said OEM quality part, made in USA, yada yada yada. So I don't see anybody having a problem with them. And when I went to install them and compare them to the original ones, they actually look pretty similar in quality. I didn't notice anything like super cheaply compared to the OEM ones. So I'm satisfied with that purchase. And real cheap. If I remember correctly, somewhere around 30, 40 bucks. Maybe might have to double check. I've ordered a lot of stuff recently, but they weren't that much. So let's just round up and say they were 40 bucks for the sensors online, eBay, and it was another 50 bucks on the hose and the insulator for the hose, heat insulator. And then obviously if you wanted to get an intake gasket set, you know, you're already there at 90 bucks. You, depending on what intake gasket set, you're somewhere in the ballpark of 150 bucks spent on just parts. And then if you do it yourself, there's no labor. If you're gonna pay someone else labor, it just depends who you're paying and where you're taking it to, how much labor you're gonna pay. To remove that intake with the motor mounted in the car, a side job type of mechanic that's qualified and knows what the hell he's doing will charge you anywhere in between $200 to $300 labor on removing that intake. And I mean, I would charge at least $300. You're doing more than just an intake pull. You're doing a lower intake pull, not just an upper, and you're also doing the bypass hose, the sensors. You're cleaning everything up, fuel injector rail, all the vacuum spaghetti lines that you'll see on your motor when you pop the hood. Someone really has to be careful pulling those apart. Make sure not to break them. They're brittle plastic, and know where the hell they go when he goes to reconnect them. So yeah, that being said, I personally wouldn't do this job on someone's car with the engine installed in someone's car for under $300 in labor. Now, if it was an engine outside of the car, then it's easy peasy. And that's the whole point of me doing it now with the engine outside of the car. So whoever buys this engine from me, it's already done. They can just drop the engine in and be good. Sweet deal, right? Yeah, I know. This motor has a rear main seal on it, has a crank seal. Those are the two high pressure seals at the front and the back of the crank. Won't leak from there. Cam seals are done, won't leak from there. Water pump's new, won't leak from there. Tensioners, timing, all of that's new. So this is literally a drop in and go. Yeah, I think I've covered everything else. You think I missed something? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. God bless y'all. Catch y'all on the next video. Peace. And if you know somebody that needs a reliable Lexus Toyota engine 3.0 V6, let me know in the comments too.